Here today with George Taylor of your hometown West Hardin Oilers. How are you doing today, Coach?
I'm doing good. Doing good.
All right, so let's get right into it. Yeah, real small school there, 281. Means you don't have formal spring football, but your kids play every sport. So
There,
you're seeing your kids competing. You're seeing your kids in the weight room. How are things going in the spring?
spring's been good for us. Just kind of going back to winter basketball wise. We were able, boys made the playoffs there. Battled them by district round, did not win there. Move on to track from there. So now we're now back-to-back district champions in track. Had a whole slew of kids go to the area meet, and then from the area meet, we took 13 kids to the regional meet, which was this past weekend in Kingsville. Competed well there. Day two, we had to battle some elements. There was, I believe, the wind was blowing about 30 miles an hour there, with some gusts up to 35, 40 miles an hour. So it did not fare well for our discus throwers, who've been performing very well this season, but the goal is we've now kind of increased the participation, we've increased the success in track, and I think there's a little more buy-in and interest, and we'll be right back at it next year. Baseball wise, for the first time in 44 years, we won a share of the district title. We split with Big Sandy. Um, I had the play-in game last night. So Big Sandy is taking the one seed, will be the two seed. We lost that game last night 3-1, but still, 44 years since West Hardin's been uh, any part of a district championship baseball wise. So, that's important for our program to see success like that. Just kind of, it's good to be able to tell the kids that it's been since before I was born that they won district. So, it makes it like, wow, it's older than Coach Taylor. So, spring wise, I think we're seeing a lot of success. We're seeing a lot of participation, especially baseball wise, because, what I think a lot of two-way coaches will appreciate is the fact that we were able to run a JV program along with our varsity program in baseball. So having that many kids interested and out for the baseball season is important for us.
All right. So you know your kids, you know who's graduating, you know who's coming back. Kind of walk us through your football team for the fall. Who's going to be back? Who's not going to be back? And who's might step into those roles?
Well, we're graduating some kids that were leaders for us. Some of them in spots that are, particularly important. We're graduating defensive lineman Mason Wells. He's signed to go play at Co College in Rapid City, Iowa, I think, or Rapid Falls, Iowa. I forget the town, but he's going to go play college ball there, which he was a big contributor for us on the defensive side, but helped on the offensive side too because he was our number 6 offensive lineman. So if somebody went down, we could put him in. We had a little bit of speed at guard to pull and kick and seal and things like that. So definitely going to miss him. Some of our receiving corps has is going to graduate, and then we had one of our main receivers move because of a family situation. He's now in a school district 2 hours away from us. So, as you know, at the 2A level, it's tough to lose any child, that was a contributor at all going into the next year. So, looking forward to next year, um, I think where we're going to be hurting the most is up front. We're losing, a lot of offensive linemen. Um, we're going to have two kids come back that's played offensive line for us for the last 3 years. So that was a luxury to have them as sophomores, juniors, seniors. Now they're graduating, and so as you know, not having any kind of unit up front is going to make it tough to run any type of offense. Although all spring my coaches and I have worked through some different scenarios, running some different offenses, and it always comes down to who's our five up front. So I think if we don't develop some young kids really quick, it's going to be tough for us on the offensive side of the ball. I think defensively, I think we have plenty of tools, in the skill spots to be able to compete defensively. But it's going to go back to where our whole season is going to be predicated on what the offensive line can produce for us.
So let's shift gears a little bit and go a little bit bigger, but it's still your view of the bigger. What would you say the biggest challenge facing high school athletics right now in Texas is?
The biggest challenge in high school athletics is, to me, I've seen a shift in kids' interest to where there's less kids that um, not that play athletics, but are invested in athletics like we have been before. And a lot of times I go back to when I was in high school, we didn't have the distractions they do now. We didn't have the cell phones. I mean, our video game was 16-bit, Nintendo. We get tired of it after about an hour. But we went outside and we played sandlot football. We played sandlot baseball, and I'm starting to see the shift into where kids are choosing other things over sports. And I really fear that I'm kind of starting to see the trend that kids are choosing to not play sports like football or not run track because it's hot and you have to actually put work in. That does not speak for every child. However, I feel, that I've kind of seen that over the years to where kids are more, instead of going outside and sweating in the heat and playing football, I'm going to go home. And I'm not saying that that's how all kids are, but I just kind of see it trending that way. And that's kind of what I fear. And I think a lot of coaches would agree that the sport of track is a lost art right now. I know if you're my age, when you were in high school, if you played football, you ran track. You didn't have a choice. And now, it's not, kids are not feeling as encouraged to go out and run a quarter in under a minute, to compete for your team. And so that's where, track specifically, I'm a big believer in good track brings good football because, just that it's a grind and you got to go out and grind and do what you got to do. So I feel like with our philosophy in our program where we insist that kids run track and participate, and then, you go back to back district champions, not because we're winning first place in every event, but because we have kids in every event and we're getting points for our team. So it's kind of building a team mentality at the same time.
All right. So let's see if we can learn a little bit more about George Taylor here. What would you say your number one guilty pleasure is?
Hmm. You know what? My guilty pleasure right now would be doing absolutely nothing because I'm so busy. Uh, especially in the spring because you have sports on top of sports, and then at the same time we're battling the state testing and being Region 4. I've been to Corpus Christi and back 6 times in the last 3 weeks for golf, for tennis, for track. So uh, if I can catch myself sitting on the couch and watching a movie right now, that's guilty pleasure. And I mean, just to tell you, I'm watching The Natural right now for probably the 20th time in my life. And I'm going on day 4 of trying to finish that movie. So it's hard for me to get a good 2 hours in. But also, I have a 2-year-old that steals a whole lot of my time as well.
Yeah, kind of go a little more into that because a lot of people, head football coach, okay, football season, then, he's sitting around doing nothing. And the reality as a head football coach or an athletic director at a school, this is the time of year when you're the busiest.
Oh, yeah.
So go a little bit more into what your kind of year looks like, starting with what's coming up, graduation, and then going back through.
Yeah. So, I mean, we have graduation coming up. On top of graduation, in fact, I just got out of an admin meeting where we're looking at the next 3 weeks of school. And there is some kind of award ceremony, some kind of recognition, some kind of testing, Chromebook take up, whatever it is, every day is busy. Every day is important. But you go back to I can honestly say that football season for me is the best time because I have football, volleyball, and cheer going on, which cheer, they pretty well run themselves. Volleyball, I have a really good volleyball staff that can kind of take care of volleyball, so I can handle football. Well, after football season is when all of these coaches that are volleyball, football coaches start moving into other directions. They're in basketball, they're in powerlifting, tennis, golf, track, baseball, softball. Well, as soon as we get back from the Christmas break is when powerlifting kicks in. You have district basketball going on at the same time. And then as district basketball is wrapping up, you're starting softball, you're starting baseball, track meets are starting to ramp up. And then it just feels like it gets to a certain time in the year in March where it's the district golf tournament, the district tennis match, district track meet, and then you're advancing the area and you're going to regionals. And I'll say us being in, I get, pushed to Region 4. It takes a lot of time out of our schedule to go to Corpus Christi to play tennis. That's a 2-day endeavor. We send girls to play golf at regionals in Corpus Christi. It's 2 days for them. The 2 days after that, our boys are down there. So that's 5 days on the road in Corpus Christi. Track goes to Kingsville, which is, the same thing. We were gone Thursday, Friday, Saturday, got home at 1 a.m. Sunday morning from Kingsville. So it all stacks up, which, at the end of the day, and like I tell my wife, it's good that we're in Corpus Christi so much because we're having success. So, it's worth it. I don't mind running myself ragged because our kids are having success.
Definitely hope you have cash back on your gas credit card there, Coach.
Absolutely. My suitcase is wearing out. So.
Well, thank you very much for your time today. Best of luck with everything that's upcoming. Hope to catch you out in the fall.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you're always invited out here. So.
LoneStarGridiron.com. Access the complete history of Texas high school football, over 100 years of information, win-loss records, coaching histories, individual stats, records, and more. Lone Star Gridiron, the authority on Texas high school football.